Your fasting glucose is 98, the doctor said it's normal, but you're still exhausted with that stubborn belly that won't go away, and waking up at 3 a.m. And what if I told you that the problem isn't your age, nor your willpower, but the missing test? A test that reveals the average of the last 90 days, while fasting only shows the 12 hours you slept. In 6 minutes, you'll understand why 1 in 3 women over 50 is walking towards diabetes without knowing it, and what to do today to change that story. Your body never lies. The common mistake why relying only on fasting is like driving at night with a burned-out headlight. 1.1 The past fasting syndrome. When a normal test result deceives you. 1.2 The myth of protection. If the doctor didn't say anything, everything is fine. 1.3 The truth about that 95 number on the paper. 1.4 What happens during the other 23 hours and 48 minutes of your day. 1.5 Why your stubborn belly is screaming the truth. 1.6 The silent insulin resistance that no one explained to you. 1.7 How stress and poor sleep mask glucose spikes. 1.8 The belief that's sabotaging you. I'm not sick, I'm just tired. 8 out of 10 women over 45 do what I call the past fasting syndrome. You prepare, do a perfect 12-hour fast, wake up early, go to the lab, and the result comes 95, 98, up to 99. You look at that number, breathe a sigh of relief and think, everything is fine with me. Another year of checkups done. But here's what no one tells you. This test is like taking a photo at 6 a.m. in your best angle with the best light. It's the only moment of the day when your body had the whole night, without food, without stress, without decisions to organize glucose. It's literally your most favorable metabolic moment. And what about the other 23 hours and 48 minutes? What happens when you have that coffee with French bread? When you have pasta for lunch and feel that drowsiness at 3 p.m.? When you have white rice for dinner and wake up in the middle of the night with your mind racing, unable to fall back asleep? Your body is living a glucose roller coaster all day long. Extremely high peaks after meals. Abrupt drops that leave you desperately hungry 2 hours after eating. And this invisible roller coaster doesn't appear on the fasting test. Stays hidden, silent, but destroying your metabolism one day at a time. There's a 3-month window of your metabolic life that you're completely ignoring. And it's precisely in this window that the explanation for everything you can't understand about your body lies. Why you gain weight in your belly even when eating less than before. Why you sleep tired and wake up exhausted. Why you exercise but have no energy. Why your skin has aged faster in recent years. Something is happening in your blood 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 whole months that the fasting test simply doesn't see. And while you're looking only at that nice number on the paper, thinking you pass with flying colors, your pancreas is working double time, your cells are resisting insulin, and your body is screaming for help through signals you've learned to normalize. That fat that accumulates in your waist and won't go away with any diet? It's not laziness of your metabolism. It's glucose that's too high for too long, forcing your body to store fat in the most dangerous area, around your organs. That exhaustion that doesn't go away even when you sleep 8 hours? It's not age. It's your body burning energy trying to control glucose all the time, instead of using that energy to live. That mental fog, that feeling that your reasoning is slower, that you forget words in the middle of a sentence? It's not normal. It's your brain being deprived of stable energy because glucose is going up and down like a seesaw without brakes. And the worst part? You're calling it aging. You're accepting it as fate. You're telling yourself, it's like that after 50. But it's not. It's not age. It's uncontrolled glucose hiding behind a normal fasting test. The doctor looks at your 98, pats you on the shoulder and says, everything is fine, come back next year. But you leave the office feeling exactly like you came in. Tired. Frustrated. Thinking the problem is in your head, in your discipline, in your bad genetics. The truth is that you're driving at night with a burned-out headlight. You think you're seeing the road because you have a little light, but most of the way is in total darkness. And while you're trusting that one point of light, you're heading straight for a hole that will only appear when it's too late. That hole has a name, silent prediabetes. And 1 in 3 women over 50 is in it without knowing. Because no one asked for the right test. Because everyone is looking only at fasting and ignoring the complete picture. It's not your fault for not knowing this. No one taught you. No one explained that there's another test, another number, another way to see what's happening inside you. But now you're going to know. And when you know, you won't be able to go back to the comfortable ignorance of past fasting. You've seen the mistake. You understand why relying only on fasting is like looking at a photo and thinking you know the whole movie. Now comes the revelation that changes everything. The missing piece in your metabolic puzzle. The test that finally explains why you feel this way. The revelation A1C. The complete movie of your last 90 days. 2.1 What is glycated hemoglobin? In language your mother would understand. 2.2 The difference between a momentary photo and a 3-month movie. 2.3 Why A1C doesn't require fasting, and that changes everything. 2.4 The secret thermometer of inflammation and cellular aging. 2.5 The statistic that no one told you. Above 5.7% is already a red zone. 2.6 Why women in menopause need this test even more. 2.7 The connection between high A1C and mental fog, chronic fatigue, and stubborn belly. 2.8 Glycation. When sugar rusts, your proteins from the inside glycated hemoglobin. A1C. HbA1c. It doesn't matter what name you'll see on the paper. What matters is that this test does something that fasting will never do. It tells the complete truth. Let me explain it in a way that anyone can understand without complicated medical terms. You have red blood cells in your blood, right? These cells live for about 3 months. During these 3 months, they're swimming in your blood 24 hours a day. And every time your glucose goes up, a little bit of that glucose sticks to these cells, like sugar sticking to everything that passes by. When you take the A1C test, you're literally measuring how much sugar stuck to these cells during the last 90 days. It doesn't matter if today you woke up feeling good. It doesn't matter if yesterday you ate a salad. The test is seeing everything that happened in the last 3 months. Think of it like this: fasting glucose is a photo. You fix your hair, put on nice clothes, smile for the camera. Click. A photo of your best moment. But A1C is a movie. It's a hidden camera recording you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 3 months straight. It sees you waking up, eating, working, stressing, sleeping poorly, eating again. Sees absolutely everything. And here's what changes the game completely. You don't need to fast. It's going to change the way you look at your health. In Brazil, more than 10% of people between 45 and 54 have a diabetes diagnosis. But do you know how many are in prediabetes and don't know? 3 times as many. 3 times as many people walking towards the disease, feeling tired, gaining weight, losing energy, and thinking it's normal. And the worst part, most of these people have normal fasting glucose. They pass their annual checkup. They think everything is fine. Until one day, 10 years later, they wake up with type 2 diabetes installed. And then everyone is surprised. But how? My tests were always normal. They weren't. You were looking at the wrong test. The ideal A1C, the one that gives you energy, mental clarity, a light body, is not the one the lab puts as a reference. The paper will tell you that up to 5.6 is normal. But for a woman over 45, especially after menopause, you should aim for 5.4 or less. Because every tenth above that is stolen energy, increased inflammation, accelerated aging. Above 5.7, you're already in the metabolic attention zone. The medical community calls this prediabetes. I call it a red flag waving on the dashboard of your metabolic car. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means it's time for preventive maintenance before you really break down. And after menopause, this becomes even more critical, because the drop in hormones completely changes the way your body processes glucose. The same diet that worked at 35 stops working at 50. It's not your fault. It's physiology. But no one warned you that you needed to change your strategy. When A1C is high, it means you're living in a state of silent chronic inflammation. Your body is in constant emergency mode trying to control sugar. And while it's doing that, it doesn't have energy left over for anything else. That's why you wake up tired. That's why the fat doesn't leave your belly. That's why your skin has aged faster. That's why you have that mental fog, that feeling of always functioning at 70%. There's a process happening inside you called glycation. It's when excess sugar starts sticking to your proteins. Imagine putting honey on your cells. They become sticky, slow, rusty. This happens everywhere. In your blood vessels, in your brain, in your skin, in your organs. That's why diabetes accelerates aging. It's not just a matter of high sugar. It's a matter of sugar literally rusting you from the inside. That exhaustion you've normalized? It has a scientific explanation. That difficulty in losing weight? It has a scientific explanation. That forgetfulness, that slowness of reasoning? It has a scientific explanation. And all of them point to the same place: uncontrolled glucose over time. It's not weakness. It's not lack of discipline. It's not bad genetics. It's your body doing its best with fuel that's arriving in a chaotic, irregular manner, in greater quantities than it can process. And while you thought the problem was your age, the real problem was hiding in a test that no one asked for. Now you know. The difference between a photo and a movie. The difference between thinking everything is fine and really being fine. The difference between aging resigned and aging with strategy, with energy, with vitality. And the most important thing, now you can do something about it. Now that you understand the power of A1C, now that you've seen the difference between looking at a photo and watching the complete movie, comes the most important question: what to do with this information? How to turn numbers into action? How to take this knowledge and use it to have more energy, more clarity, more years of quality life. The transformation is simpler than you imagine. And it starts today. The transformation from knowledge to action in 3 practical steps: how to ask for A1C at your next appointment without seeming like you read it on the internet. 3.2 The minimum kit of metabolic tests for women 45 plus. 3.3 When to do it, when to repeat it, how to interpret without panic. 3.4 The golden rule: fiber first, always. 3.5 The apple cider vinegar ritual, and why it works. 3.6 The 10 minutes after dinner that changed the game. 3.7 Real case: how Mrs. Ana lowered her A1C from 6.1 to 5.5 in 90 days. 3.8 Immediate action: what to do today before bedtime. You don't need to fight with your doctor. You don't need to go into the office armed with printed scientific articles. You don't need to justify yourself. You just need to know how to ask. At your next appointment, when the doctor hands you the test request, you'll say this calmly: "Doctor, besides fasting glucose, I'd like to take the glycated hemoglobin test too. I've been feeling persistent fatigue, my belly isn't decreasing even though I'm eating less. And I want to understand the average of my glucose, not just fasting." That's it. You're not questioning the doctor's authority. You're bringing your symptoms and asking for an additional test to understand better. 90% of doctors will put it on the request without any problem. If your doctor doesn't, if they insist that only fasting is necessary, you have 2 options. Insist politely or look for another professional who will listen to you. Because here's the truth: your body is yours. Your health is your responsibility. A good doctor is one who works with you, not for you. And if you're feeling symptoms, if you're asking for a test that will give you valuable information, no doctor should deny that. The minimum kit of metabolic tests for a woman over 45 is simple: fasting glucose, glycated hemoglobin, fasting insulin, complete lipid profile. These 4 give you a real picture of what's happening in your metabolism. It's not excessive. It's not paranoia. It's intelligent prevention. And when you do it, you'll do both on the same day. Early in the morning, 8 to 12-hour fast for fasting glucose. A1C doesn't require fasting, but since you'll be there anyway, you might as well do everything together. In one trip to the lab, you'll have the complete movie. When the results come, you'll look at both numbers side by side. If fasting glucose is good and A1C is also below 5.4, congratulations, you're on the right path. Repeat it in a year at your regular checkup. But if A1C comes back above 5.7, even with normal fasting, you have work to do. And here's the good news: you can reverse it. Prediabetes is not a sentence. It's a warning. It's your body giving you a chance to change before it becomes a disease. If it comes back altered, you repeat it in 3 months. Why? Because red blood cells live 3 months. So in 3 months, you can see if the changes you made are working. It's enough time for your body to respond. It's the perfect feedback. Now let's get to what really matters: what to do to lower that A1C. How to turn a number into practical action that you can do every day without becoming a slave to a crazy diet. First golden rule, more important than any other: fiber first always. Before you put any carbohydrate in your mouth, you eat fiber. It can be salad, it can be cooked vegetables, it can be avocado. Fiber creates a gel in your stomach that slows down glucose absorption. It's like putting a protective layer between sugar and your blood. This isn't theory. It's basic physiology. When you eat bread alone, glucose spikes, diluted in water, 15 minutes before main meals. I know it sounds like something your grandma would say, but the science behind it is solid. Acetic acid improves insulin sensitivity. Translating, it helps your body process glucose better. The objection everyone has is, But it's too sour, I can't do it. You can use a straw. You can mix it with a little lemon. You can drink it in one go and eat something right after. The benefit is worth the discomfort of 30 seconds. Third non-negotiable move. 10 minutes of activity after dinner. Doesn't need to be a gym. Doesn't need to be a run. Can be squats at home. Can be going up and down the stairs. It can be dancing in the living room. What matters is moving your large muscle groups right after eating. Why? Because muscle is a sponge for glucose. When you contract your muscle, it pulls sugar from the blood without needing insulin. It's the only tissue in the body that does this. So those 10 minutes after dinner are literally taking glucose out of your blood, reducing the work of your pancreas, avoiding the nighttime spike that steals your sleep. Let me tell you the story of Mrs. Ana, 52 years old, A1C at 6.1, constant fatigue, belly that wouldn't decrease, sleeping poorly. She didn't do anything radical. She didn't cut out carbohydrates. She didn't become an athlete. She just applied these 3 things. She started eating salad before the main course. She took apple cider vinegar before lunch and dinner. And every day after dinner she did 10 minutes of squats while watching TV. No personal trainer. No impossible diet. Just simple, consistent strategy. In 90 days, her A1C went down to 5.5. Her energy came back. Her belly started to decrease. Her sleep improved. And the best part, she wasn't suffering. She wasn't depriving herself. She was eating the same foods, just combined differently and with movement right after. This is what science calls lifestyle medicine. Small daily changes that, when added up, create profound transformation. It's not about willpower. It's about intelligent strategy based on how the body works. So here's what you're going to do today before bedtime. You're going to do one thing. You're going to open your kitchen cabinet and see if you have apple cider vinegar. If you don't, you'll put it on your shopping list. You're going to look at your schedule for next week and mark your doctor's appointment. You're going to write down the 4 signs you've been feeling on a piece of paper. Persistent fatigue, stubborn belly, poor sleep, mental fog. And tomorrow morning at breakfast, before you eat bread or tapioca or any carbohydrate, you're going to eat some protein or good fat first. It can be an egg. It can be avocado. It can be peanut butter without sugar. Just that. One change. One day at a time. Because the difference between continuing to feel exhausted for the next 10 years or regaining your energy isn't in a radical transformation. It's in small decisions repeated every day until they become automatic. How long has your body been asking for help through these symptoms? 1 year? 5 years? 10? It hasn't given up on you. So don't give up on it. Give it the right tools, the right information, the right fuel, and see how it responds. High A1C isn't destiny. It's a starting point. It's the map showing you where you are so you can decide where you want to go. And now you have the map. Now you have the tools. Now you have the strategy. You're not broken. You adapted. Your body changed the rules with